Picture this. A servant hands you a small porcelain jar. Inside is a creamy white paste, smooth, expensive, and whispered to be the secret to perfect beauty. You dip your fingers in and smooth it over your face. Every scar disappears. Every freckle fades. In seconds, you look like the women everyone envies. Pale, flawless, untouchable. You smile. What you don't know is that you just started poisoning yourself. Not enough to collapse today, not enough for anyone to notice tomorrow, but enough to slowly wreck your body over the next several years. And the wildest part? Every woman around you is doing the exact same thing. For nearly 300 years, nobody thought this was dangerous. They thought it was beautiful. The secret ingredient was lead, a metal we now keep miles away from children. And for centuries, people rubbed it directly onto their faces every single morning. The queen who started it all. This obsession has a face, and it belongs to Queen Elizabeth I of England. In her late 20s, Elizabeth survived a brutal illness, almost certainly smallpox. She lived, but the disease left her skin covered in scars. There were no dermatologists in the 1500s, no lasers, no concealer sticks, just one product that promised total coverage, Venetian Ceruse, a foundation made from white lead. Every morning, Elizabeth layered it on until her scars vanished under a smooth porcelain mask. And because she was the queen, every noblewoman in England wanted the same look. There were no fashion magazines yet. The royal court was the magazine. One woman's insecurity became an entire country's beauty standard, and it spread from England into Italy, France, and Spain within a generation. The paler you looked, the closer you were to perfection. Nobody thought to ask what was actually in the jar. The poison working underneath. While society admired the mask, lead was quietly attacking the body underneath it. Lead goes straight for the nervous system. It disrupts how brain cells communicate. Memory loss, foggy thinking, mood swings, and relentless headaches. In children, even small amounts can permanently lower IQ. Adults weren't spared either. Imagine waking up exhausted every day, your head pounding, blaming it on stress or bad sleep, never once suspecting the beautiful white powder on your dressing table. It got worse. Lead travels through the bloodstream, damaging kidneys, weakening muscles, and causing stomach pain so severe doctors of the time gave it its own name, painter's colic. Some women suffered unexplained miscarriages, others struggled to conceive at all. Centuries later, scientists confirmed what nobody understood then. Chronic lead exposure disrupts fertility in both men and women. Then came the signs no amount of makeup could hide. Hair thinned, then fell out. Eyebrows turned patchy. Teeth loosened in their sockets. Some women's gums darkened into a blue-gray tint. A textbook symptom of lead poisoning doctors recognize instantly today. The cruelest twist, the more damage the lead caused, the more of it women applied to cover the damage up. It became a loop with no exit. Poison the skin, patch the skin, poison it again. A warning everyone ignored. Nobody's story captures the madness better than Maria Gunning, Countess of Coventry. She was considered one of the most beautiful women in 18th century Britain, painted, praised, adored for her flawless, pale complexion. And she achieved it with years of heavy, lead-based makeup. As her health collapsed, friends begged her to stop. She refused and reportedly kept applying white lead foundation even while gravely ill. She died at 27. Historians today can't say lead alone killed her. Illness was common in that era for many reasons, but her death became a public warning about the price of beauty. And still, almost nobody stopped. Why nobody walked away? Here's the uncomfortable truth. Fear rarely wins against social pressure. Picture walking into a royal gathering with bare, natural skin while every other woman in the room glows ghost white under candlelight. Nobody has to say a word. You already know what they're thinking. Poor, unfashionable, careless. That silent judgment did more damage than any warning label ever could. Beauty standards back then, just like now, didn't need laws to enforce them. They only needed people watching each other. Poets wrote about pale skin like it was divine. Painters immortalized it. Marriage prospects, and by extension, a family's entire social standing, often hinged on matching the ideal. Looking beautiful opened doors. Looking ordinary quietly closed them. So women kept applying it, not because they loved the risk, but because rejection felt scarier than slow poison. The pattern that never really ended. Eventually, lead makeup faded out, but the underlying trade, beauty in exchange for suffering, never did. After lead came arsenic wafers marketed for glowing skin, mercury creams promising to erase freckles, belladonna eye drops that dilated pupils by paralyzing the eye's muscles, leaving some women with permanent vision damage. Corsets crushed organs. Enormous crinoline skirts caught fire, trapping women inside their own dresses. Different centuries, different products, same pitch. You'll be beautiful if you're willing to suffer for it. What makes lead uniquely disturbing is how invisible the damage was. Nobody collapsed after one use. Nobody felt poisoned in week one. Instead, the body wore down slowly. A headache here, a stomach ache there, hair a little thinner each month, until the very face they were protecting looked worse than before they'd started. Modern science understands exactly why. Lead disrupts nerve signaling, damages red blood cells, stresses the kidneys, and even leaches into bones by replacing calcium. Today, doctors agree there is no safe level of lead exposure at all, which makes it even more staggering that people once applied it to their faces daily, believing it was luxury. The real lesson behind the mask. Not everyone stayed silent. A handful of doctors and writers warned against white lead centuries before anyone truly listened, dismissing it as vain or artificial. But when an entire society agrees on a beauty standard, questioning it feels almost impossible, even when the evidence is staring back from the mirror. Museums today display tiny jars that once held Venetian Ceruse. Behind the glass, they look almost charming. Just another antique. But those jars carried a quiet, invisible danger. Proof that some of history's most damaging inventions never looked like weapons. They looked like luxury. Lead makeup didn't spread because people craved poison. It spread because people craved acceptance. The same very human desire for confidence and belonging that still drives us today. The tragedy is that someone convinced an entire generation that suffering was simply the cost of looking elegant. Our formulas are safer now, and our science is far better. But the question history leaves behind still stings a little. How many things do we still do today? Not because they're good for us, but because everyone else is doing them? Next time you see an old portrait of a woman with impossibly smooth, pale skin, don't just admire the painting. Picture the headaches she couldn't explain, the hair she quietly lost, the poison building in her bones beneath that perfect porcelain mask. Because that's exactly why it sucked to wear lead makeup.